Good afternoon, everyone. This is really an unholy hour. So I hope to really cut short the theories, but really give you a basic explanation on what is content curation as regards blended and online learning. So I think the first idea is that we have, for many of us, I think this online learning, this e-learning is a wonderful opportunity to somehow let others speak. It can minimize our time to record ourselves explaining. If you have your own whiteboard in your house, you don't even have to do that all the time. I don't believe in transporting the physical classroom lectures that you have for, say, is that 81 hours for several weeks. It's not a matter of recording everything online, but really taking advantage of the content, the thousands of experts there in YouTube and in social media and many other sites like what I mentioned this morning, course, the pre-courses in Coursera. It somehow minimizes your work, but I know that sometimes we want to be the one to do the work, to do the lecturing because we're paid for it. But I think the main idea that I want to put here is that you're doing the work, trying to curate. So let us see what are the responsibilities of a content curator. For many, when they say you curate content in the internet, they're thinking of Pinterest, which is really one of the first apps that we heard that we have used in terms of curation. And what is curation is really basically assembling, getting the best images there as regards Pinterest, okay? And sometimes you publish it, and sometimes you follow some people who have very, very good choices, and you wonder, how do they get those? I don't know. Mag-Google search ako, hindi ko makita yung mga ganon. How do they get that? And they get really expertise in content curation. Can you say, yes, if you have a Pinterest account, do you use Pinterest? I actually have, but I'm not really using that to the full because it's only now that I'm into photography and videography, but really not all the time. But this is an example, a real famous example of what it is as regards curation. It's very, very similar to, in a sense, when you say curation, you think of museum curators. It's really like that. It's like you collect content from the World Wide Web, and you classify them, you categorize them, and you showcase them. And sometimes you can really be good, you can really be known as someone who knows where the good images are. Sometimes I look into them and say, wow. And sometimes when I do, like, I use Canvas or I use Photoshop Elements, which is the Photoshop for Mac. And when I want to know the color combinations, I really get loads of content from Pinterest. I don't exactly follow someone, but in Google search, always what appears are, when it comes to color combination, what appears are those boards from Pinterest. Monica from resilienteducator.com said, Pinterest is a particularly powerful tool to use as a model for content curation. Teachers can use different boards to collect images with a common theme that link to websites and articles. By sorting and organizing information into various Pinterest boards, educators can show students how establishing and developing connections can prevent information overload. So you're not actually loading all these images in your own site because you don't own them, but you have a thumbnail and you know where to go, and you tell your viewers, you tell your followers where to go because you send the link. So there is no copyright problem because really it's just a matter of, for example, you're looking into a particular site, and there is, if you have a Pinterest account, then you can pin it. They can tell you where to pin it. I've used sometimes some of the boards myself, and then they will ask you in what board you want it to appear. So what is content curation? Let's go to the most common site, ECS, which is the Wikipedia. It is the process of gathering information relevant to a particular topic or area of interest, usually with the intention of adding value, selecting, organizing, and looking after the items in a collection or exhibition. So then again, there is that expertise that you have your own particular perspective, you know exactly what to see. So it's the same like a museum curator, like they know what the audience, a particular audience would want, no? Another definition from Todd Clark from blog hotsuit.com It's adding your voice and value to a handpicked collection of content, gathered from a variety of sources around a specific topic that you publish and share with your fans, wherever they may be. So, probably, I don't know if you have seen some articles that have a lot of hyperlinks. For me, that is what you call a really curated article. And if you have seen, for example, in Viber or in Facebook, a long article na wala malang hyperlink, yung mga ganun pinagdududahan ko. Kasi why can't they cite the source? Araw na nasa Facebook ako, talagang hindi ko na lang binabasa. Because the thing is, a really professional way of writing an article is you create, if in before, we use endnotes, footnotes. When it comes to digital content, what the curators do is just if you want to have more idea, then you know that there is a hyperlink. It could be a blue text. So if you want to delve deeper into that particular idea, then you can use the hyperlink. So if I have an article that does not have any hyperlinks at all, it's a waste of time. I don't go to that. So I think that is like something I really want to share. Don't digest everything that you see, because in the end, if it's really not, if it's all opinion, what do I do with that? Yeah. There are some opinions that we can have to grade in terms of expertise. So if it's an opinion that is from an expert, that expert, if he is very professional, will cite other sources, because we don't invent the entire body of knowledge. I hope you get it. We don't invent anything, no? So if I have someone there who has written an article without any source, do that. I don't waste my time there. Okay? Comment if you disagree with that. Baka mamaya you have written something na wala palang hyperlink. You can always go back to that, especially if you are a professional writer. You can always go back, because it's really more professional to be citing. If you don't have endnotes, sometimes, people nowadays, they don't look into endnotes anymore. Saka mahirap yata, parang pang EBSCO, yung mga ganon, PDF file. Pero pag internet site, hyperlinks, I really look into the hyperlinks. Okay, and then it says here, it's adding your voice, because it's not just, it's not that you are simply collecting. Somehow people can sense that you choose it. For example, my advertisements, the playlist. I just started with one playlist now that I'm just starting with YouTube channel. The advertisements that I chose for my playlist of videos on work-family balance are really the ones that are really family friendly. And my own idea of what is a family. So that is adding my own definition. But it's not just my own, because these are reflected in the advertisements. I don't know if you get that, but you really add value, to your collection, and that is something that you showcase. Okay. It's gathered from a variety of sources around a specific topic. So we will go into the 5 C's that I mentioned. If some of you have seen me in Phoenix, I will cite that particular graphic. Okay, so I say, this is me, I didn't quote anyone. Content curation is like building a custom textbook for your particular course, your particular students, in your particular institution, and in your particular style. I don't know whether you are totally satisfied with a particular textbook that you have been given. In my 28 years of experience, there's never a textbook that I really take in everything. No, perhaps there is a quote that I did not like. There is a picture that I didn't like for my college students. There are references that I find very old. Even if they say this is the new 2020 edition, I look at the references and I find them very old. No, so say yes if you agree to that. I don't know if you look into the references, but the huge amount of knowledge that is placed in the internet every day makes you doubt if the textbooks that you have are really accurate. Siguro binago lang ang edition. I hope that the publishers are not going to be mad at me. Buti na lang hindi na ako nasa university. But it's something that, knowledge is growing every second. They say in YouTube, hundreds and thousands of influencers are uploading video by the second. Why am I going to rely on a textbook that has a 1990 reference? even CHED, even the accreditation institutions are really looking into the curriculum and looking into the textbook. So you might say, yeah, my textbook is recent, no? It's all 2020 because binabagong edition. But then if you look into it, di ba luma ang mga references? So the content curation is really updating the knowledge. The textbooks can be there because it's useful. It already has test banks for you. It has exams for you. It has PowerPoint slides for you. But I just want that we update that in terms of lecture, no? The sources, no? So I say it's really like building a custom textbook, no? Where you also cite where you get them, especially in the references side, and for your particular students, because they might not be the ones who really are experts. You tell them, you say manufacturing, service, and nonprofits, and you assume they know them. But actually, if you try to see the assessments, they actually didn't understand any of this or the differences. So for your students, you will put more detailed explanations of those things that probably can just be assumed by the same the student of the same age in another country. No? So for someone, for your particular province who has never gone out of Quezon, probably they need to have a little bit more example, a little bit more image, a little bit more visual explanations for them to really get into it. No? I will give some tutorials, some demos in terms of the exercises that I find in the most recent, in the last accounting subject that I taught, which is cost accounting. And then I mentioned also here, in your particular style, because probably you could probably be the one who's a reader, and always what you will give to them could be more of articles, no? Articles, websites. But then you also have to think of the students, know them, and see their learning styles. If they're the ones who like videos, no? That every 15 seconds they have to have change of image every 15 seconds. Then you have to probably fit your content in terms of that, no? The videos must be different all the time. It keeps changing. If not, they will sleep on you. Okay.